Kamala Harris directly responsible for crippling inflation, report shows. Um, yes, a lot of people might not know this, but Kamala Harris is responsible for the inflation because she broke the tie when it came to the uh, um, rescue plan, which is the reason why we have this record inflation that's going on right now, and the reason why a lot of people, black people in particular, working class in particular, are suffering is because of her and her policy, her and Biden's policy. So we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna break it down. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon, and that's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. Also, check me out on X. I put a bunch of news out there as well. All right, so let's talk about this news now. This comes from Slay News' Nick R. Hamilton, and he reports that a new report has just dealt a devastating blow to Kamala Harris by directly linking the Democrat vice president to a key issue that has been negatively impacting the lives of many voters. Harris might have been excited to be expeditiously, unofficially crowned as the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. Mind you, no one voted for her. However, she is now feeling the heat. While she rarely made headlines in the past, mostly because she was completely ineffective and extremely unpopular with voters, her record is now under an intense microscope. As Harris tries to convince Americans that she is the best person to lead them, all sorts of negative tidbits are emerging. According to Just the News, there's a case to be made that Harris is directly responsible for the terrible inflation we've all experienced under President Joe Biden's rule. The outlet notes that Harris, as vice president, was the tie-breaking vote in the Senate for the first COVID-19 stimulus package in 2021, which led to inflation. Interestingly, Harris, who was the most far-left senator in the U.S. Senate before serving as VP, has cast the most tie-breaking votes in the upper chamber than any vice president in U.S. history. Most of those votes have resulted in the Senate passing damaging bills that Americans have had to suffer the results of. Toward the beginning of President Biden's administration, Harris' second tie-breaking vote was the stimulus package mentioned above. Many experts believe that the package jump-started years of punishing inflation that we're still paying for today. We are. Look, everything is still expensive. Things have not gotten any better. It was noted that inflation increased almost immediately after the bill was passed in the Senate and then the House of Representatives. Just the News reported, according to a Pew Research Center poll from May, 62% of U.S. adults said that inflation was, quote, a very big problem for the country. The poll was conducted May 13th through 19th of 8,638 U.S. adults with a margin of error of plus or minus 1.5 percentage points. Harris is running on building up the middle class in recent campaign rallies, but that doesn't add up. Rep. Byron Donalds, who I really, really like, recently told John Solomon that Harris, quote, was the deciding vote in the Senate that unleashed the massive inflation on the American people. The Senate was tied 50-50. Quote, she voted for the American Rescue Plan in the Senate to break that tie. And then what happened was this massive inflation, which has hurt every working class American, every senior on fixed income, that is squarely on the shoulders of Kamala Harris. Other experts believe that Harris should have separated herself from Biden's economic policies. Quote, Bidenomics policies are unpopular and transcend political ideologies for most working class Americans, aka doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, you are not happy with the economy, you are not happy with Bidenomics. Instead, she embraced it, which many believe is a massive mistake for her campaign. Quote, but really she can't really run away from it either. But quote, she is not saying she wasn't for this stuff. She's for it, embraces it, thinks it's a big success, thinks the border is a big success. Let the American people decide what they think, said Stephen Moore, Stephen Moore, former economic advisor to Trump. Many have warned that as a result of Harris's stance on the economy, America is absolutely doomed if she's somehow elected president in November. And that's not hyperbole. I actually believe if she gets in office, if any Democrat gets in office for another 4 years, we are donezo as a country. And I'm not being hyperbolic. But, this is more proof that it's more important than ever that Republicans vote for Trump and not let Democrats get away with installing a worse version of Biden. I mean, just when you thought you couldn't get any more left than Biden, they trying to install Harris, who's even worse and even more incompetent. But y'all, let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.